This is Justice Matters with Tim Buxton, coming to you from Yugambeh country of the Commonberry people of the Gold Coast, Australia. I'm your host, Tim, where my sole aim is to share conversations I get to have with inspiring people doing remarkable work to create a world where we all belong. This podcast is brought to you by the Just Travel Company. Experience wonder and unearth justice and discover the just way to travel today. Visit just-travel.co. Without further ado, here's our guest for this episode of Justice Matters. Hey there, it's Tim here, and welcome to the beginning, the pre-beginning, the bonus episode launching season 3 of Justice Matters. In this little episode, I'm going to give you a bit of a promo of what to expect in the coming weeks. Season 3 will drop January 17th, so keep an eye out on your podcast provider to make sure you get that first episode as soon as it drops. Can't wait for you. It is none other than Jody Luke from Love Does, all the way in San Diego. We get into issues about the Afghanistan refugee crisis. We've obviously heard a lot in the news about the recent ban on women working in NGOs and various organizations in Afghanistan. Really, women are the only ones that can reach women and girls. And so to be banning them is obviously another level of human rights injustices happening in that part of the world. But we talk with Jody about the ways that they're serving Afghans now that have made their way to the US, as well as touching on the Ukraine crisis. So that's a bit of a teaser for what's coming up in the first episode. Guys, there are so many other guests lined up. We have several guests that are involved in social entrepreneurship and business that are making a change out there, serving those both refugees and those that are caught in areas like the sex underground sex industry and various forms of organizations that are just having an incredible impact on the ground in places no one really wants to go, and yet bringing so much hope, so much life to those in need. We've got people that are in the artificial intelligence space talking a bit about the future of AI and how it will impact our world, and will it create a world that's good, or will it create provide destruction in the world as we look forward, and some of the policies and things that we need to do. We've got other guests that are from the healthcare industry in the US talking about quality healthcare and how that can be such a key foundation as a human right, and providing that essential care and ways that we can all be involved in creating a system and a culture and ways that people, everyone belongs. I wanted to also give you a bit of a background info in this kind of bonus episode into the music behind the intro music and the outro music of Justice Matters. It's produced by a group called The Brilliance. They're based out of New York, and the song is titled, it's the instrumental track of their song, Turning Over Tables. And the reason I chose this music for episode 1, and we were toying up kind of whether or not to replace it, but decided definitely to keep it, really because the theme of this music is highlighting that moment in time when that Jewish rabbi, that famous Jewish rabbi, walked into the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, and this place, this site, the holiest site in for the Jewish people in the world. It was a site where people would come for healing. It was a site where people would come for prayer. It was a site where the people would come to connect with God and really feel that sense of forgiveness, that sense of mercy. And yet it was turned into a business where people were taken advantage of, where they were exploited. And so Jesus took a whip. Yep. That ancient rabbi, his name is none other than Jesus. He took that whip onto that Temple Mount, and he turned over those tables, and he got rid of those that were exploiting people, selling them at upmarket prices, the sacrifices that were needed in order to participate in the temple sacrifices. And so what I love about this music, and I love about the theme, Turning Over Tables, is really that's what we want to do as a podcast. We want to turn over tables. We want to look at those places in society that are systems of injustice, when there should be people that are receiving mercy, when there should be people that are receiving hope and healing and a second chance. And instead, they're being exploited. We want to turn those tables and change those systems. And yes, we can spend a lot of our time talking about the terrible things that are happening in the world, or we could spend our time, which I believe this is what it's all about, encouraging and highlighting the incredible people out there that are doing incredible works, that are leading great organizations, that are on the ground serving those in need. And I think as we kind of get inspired by them, we realize, you know what? They might be able to do it in their field, whether it's business or politics or AI or healthcare or various organizations, charities, whether that's their space that they're engaged in. They can still bring change to our communities. They can create a society where everyone belongs. And so we can, again, be inspired to do that ourselves. And so that is what I love about the music. I hope you love the music too. And if you don't, oh well. We may switch it up in the future, but just to give you a bit of a behind the scenes look into how things are going. Again, I've got Jose Biotto, who puts things together. He's the master producer of the show. He's back for season 3 and hopefully season 4, as we're already working on season 4 and some of the lineup for that. But yeah, it's just so excited to be back in the studio, so excited to be back producing these podcasts, and can't wait to release the first one for season 3 on January 17th. Keep an eye out for that. Thank you for letting me interrupt your day and drop this into your mailbox. Let's keep building a world where everyone belongs, and I hope you enjoy season 3 of Justice Matters. Thanks for making it to the end of another episode of Justice Matters with Tim Buxton. It is an immense privilege to share these conversations and inspiring people with you. To learn more about how you can get involved or learn more about today's guest, head on over to the show notes or episode description. This podcast was produced by the master himself, Jose Biotto, with just a little bit of help from me. The featured music is the song Turning Over Tables by The Brilliance. Lastly, to my Patreon community out there, thank you so much for your support and generosity. Without you, this podcast would not be possible. If you'd like to become a Patreon and get exclusive access to behind the scenes content, visit patreon.com/Justice Matters and start your Give What You Can monthly contribution today, and join me and so many others in creating a world where everyone belongs. Until next time, thank you for subscribing and sharing this podcast with your friends. Justice Matters with Tim Buxton acknowledges and pays respect to the past, present, and future traditional custodians and elders of this nation, now known as Australia, and the continuation of cultural, spiritual, and educational practices of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples.